What's up guys, Ben Clark here for Adapt to Perform. Today I'm here with Gem. You might know her as Wheelsnoheels from Instagram and on YouTube. Basically I've come down here today because part of this interview series is interviewing people that are disabled that are also doing really awesome things. And Gem is doing a lot of awesome things, mainly what she talks about on YouTube. But I think rather than me telling you about her, I think it's probably best you explain what you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Gem, and yes, as you said, I have a YouTube channel called Wheelsnoheels, and on my channel you'll see a lot of disability lifestyle content. I am really passionate about talking about accessibility. I like going out and making fun sort of travel vlogs, and yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've stumbled across it a little while ago, and I think what you're doing there is really cool. Like, not just showing what you do in your life, but actually like advocating why things are important and why they should be the way they are, with like especially with the access as well. So yeah, we'll dive into that a little bit later on in the video, I reckon.
Yeah.
So let's start off with the people that don't know you in that. You speak a lot about on your wheelchair about stuff, but do you want to say why you're in the wheelchair and that?
Yeah, sure. So when I was 9, I suffered a T10 incomplete spinal cord injury. That was because I had heart surgery to repair a coarctation of the aorta, which is a narrowing of the aorta. When I was coming round from the anaesthetic, the stitches burst and I suffered an aortic rupture and internal bleeding, and my heart stopped and almost died. In fact, I think I did technically die for a bit there. They brought me back, and because of the lack of oxygen, my spinal cord was actually damaged at the T10 incomplete level.
So,
in a wheelchair.
Do you remember much of that at the time, or is it so long ago now that you don't really?
No, those kind of things stay with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do remember quite a lot. In fact, I do have. You can head over to my channel. I've got a whole video speaking about my spinal cord injury, and also what it's like to be in a coma as well. And so I do chat about my memories from that, which are very weird, and I can really liken it to Stranger Things. Have you seen Stranger Things? Yeah, it's a bit like that, being in like a parallel universe.
Yeah, in the upside down.
Yeah, definitely like that.
So so it's a T10. So how does that sort of affect you, like physically and on a day-to-day life sort of thing?
So I'm partially paralysed from the waist down, so I struggle walking, so I use my wheelchair, but I don't let it stop me. I still drive. I've got a daughter. I go out and I visit friends, I work, and manage to do most things really. I just need a little help here and there. Yeah.
With it, we were talking a little bit before the interview, and you say you're like into travel and stuff like that. And how do you find that with the wheelchair and that? You find that it's, again, no issue, you just sort of deal with it as you come?
Yeah, because I was injured so long ago and I was so young, I kind of really don't know what it's like to travel without being in a wheelchair. I think that our airlines are really, really accommodating when it comes to people with disabilities. You agree with me?
Yeah, I think they do as much as they can.
Yeah. I've had some really, really positive experiences. Air travelling, you get to board first, and they've got the aisle chair if you need to get to the toilet if you're on a long haul flight. Yeah. I don't travel by train much, and I don't use public transport. Like, I can get to LA, no worries, but I can't get from Brighton to London. But yeah, I love to go and travel and see all the different cultures and different ways of life and different levels of accessibility.
Yeah. Is there anywhere in particular, say, that was really good when you travelled, that were like, oh, they should be doing that over here in England, or?
Well, if the whole world was like Disneyland, Florida, or Disney World, Florida, we wouldn't have any problems in our lives. It's just absolutely amazing. But obviously that's Disney and it's not real life. No. But America I did find to be really good. Yeah. Accessibility-wise.
That's awesome. Yeah, they obviously they lead the way in quite a lot of areas, so you'd hope that in disability that would be something, they have quite a big disabled population, so obviously they have those people to tap into and to find out what they can do in terms of making it better. Is there anywhere on the other end of the spectrum like there was?
Well, do you know what, Ben? I know like people like Europe and all the oldie worldy kind of countries, like Prague, and obviously you expect it to be bad because it just is.
Yeah.
But the one country that I was really surprised about, and I don't know if you visited since you've become disabled, really shocked at, was Australia.
Yeah, I found in Australia, because I've been there twice since my injury, it's very spotty in terms of how good it is accessible. It's either very good or very awful. That's what I found over there. I don't know whereabouts were you in Australia?
Sydney. I was really surprised at Sydney. It was really...
Yeah, Sydney's not...
And you think this is like a first world country, like modern, and I thought it would be on par with America, but it wasn't. There were so many shops in Sydney that I just couldn't even get into, and we visited a lot of the theme parks because we're really into our theme parks, and over on my channel I've got a whole playlist dedicated to travelling in Disney, and I've had experience with that. So when I went to the theme parks in Australia, I was expecting it to be on par with America. And we got there, and I was like, oh, where's the queue for the disabled people? And they're like, no, love, we don't have a queue for disabled people. And I'm like, what? Like, where am I going to sit then? Oh, you have to sit at the back. That's if you can get a space. Obviously, the prams, they go first. I'm like...
It's a very good accent, by the way.
Well,
You've been practicing
Ben. Thank you. I was like, yeah, it was really shocking, and quite a lot of the rides we just weren't. I just wasn't even allowed to go on. Yeah. And in Disney, obviously, you can go on everything. So that was quite a shock. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to a few countries and you expect it to be good and it's not, and then I've been to a few countries and you expect it to be bad and it's been amazing. It's just it all really depends on, I guess, the government and what their sort of plans are around it.
Yeah. One place I was quite surprised about was Portaventura in Spain, which is a theme park, and they were really a lot better than I thought. If you were in a wheelchair, then you went up the exit of the ride and you got to board first, and so I was really surprised there. But you know, when I went to Prague, I knew it was going to be bad, so I was ready for it.
Yeah, it makes different. Yeah, you know when it's going to be bad, so you're like,
you can just kind of accept it.
Allow the time to, go, right, these things are probably going to go wrong today, so let's allow some time. So one of the things I think that you do better than probably anybody else that I've seen is talking about the issues with accessibility for people that are all kinds of disability, whether they're in a wheelchair or not, and especially with your pull cord. I don't know, have you got a name for your programme for highlighting the issues?
Yeah, so it came, how did it come to light? So in the UK, in our disabled or accessible changing rooms and toilets, we have red pull emergency cords, which by law have to be hanging free from the ceiling all the way down to the floor, so that if a disabled person who is in trouble falls on the floor, they can reach them and pull for help. However, we're finding more and more, especially with sort of like the social media campaign, that these cords are being tied up by cleaners or by people who just want them out of the way because people keep pulling them accidentally, and it's annoying for them, which is kind of a very ableist view. Oh, we'll just put that out the way. But we really need to highlight this issue, because what will it take for it to be taken seriously?
Yeah, exactly.
Does the worst have to happen until it's taken seriously? I really hope not, and that's why I launched a campaign called #LetItDangle, where I've got people to take photos of accessible bathrooms with the cords tied up and then kind of setting them free with the #LetItDangle, to really raise awareness of this issue, because I don't think people who are, because I think that people who are non-disabled don't because I think the people who are non-disabled don't realise how important those cords could be for someone.
Yeah.
And that's why I raised the campaign. There's also a charity called Ewan's Guide.
Yeah, I've seen his little plaques and little things everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So I always urge people to go to his website and order those. They're completely free, and then you can set the cords free, put the little card up. Then I don't know if you want to do an overlay or something with those cards. So
I'll put a link in below so people can find out where you can get those from. Yeah, definitely.
And they say that this cord must be hanging free to the ground. By tying it up, it prevents a disabled person from calling for help if they need it. So I think they're really important. And what I love about the cards and this kind of movement is we're almost like red cord ninjas, you know, like we go in, we untie the cord silently, and then we're out. We don't have to cause a scene, we don't have to cause a fuss, we don't have to talk to management and say this, that and the other. It's done. So the next time that someone goes to tie it up, or a cleaner comes in, for example, hopefully they'll think twice before pulling it up. Not the case with Primark though, because they're always tied up. I always set them free, and then they're always tied up again. So that's
at least your Primark has a toilet.
Oh no, it doesn't. No.
Oh, it doesn't.
These are in the changing rooms.
Oh, okay, in the changing rooms. So I think it's a really great cause because, as you said, like even somebody, you know, people see me like doing all my exercise and that, they think I'm very able. If I fell on the floor in a toilet, I'm stuck there. I can't do a transfer back into my wheelchair. So, I mean, if it affects me, it's going to affect loads of other people as well. And yeah, it's a really good thing, you know. I would probably be able to shout out quite loudly, but some people don't have that opportunity to either. So, who knows how long they could be in there for?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, could be until the cleaner comes, which would be that would be a big shame. Yeah, and then they would have to do something. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, that's a really great cause. Is there anything else in terms of like accessibility that you sort of champion for as such?
Well, like quite a lot of people out there, I do love shopping, and I think that we've still got a long way to go with accessibility in our shops. Quite often I'll go into shops and the aisles won't be wide enough, there'll just be stuff everywhere. I don't know if you've ever been into the Works, which is like a stationery shop.
It's just somebody's like taken a can and thrown stuff in there.
Yeah, it's like you turn, it's like poof, turn, poof. So I just wait outside now, but that's pretty awful. Another thing is I went into New Look the other day. You can insert a picture if you like. But they, for some reason, decided to put their hanging rails at over 6 feet high. Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw that picture. I said to you, Primark have literally just done the same. In my local Primark, everything's all up high. Looks very neat and tidy, but can't reach anything to save my life. And I've got very long arms as well, and I can't reach up there to get it off.
It's ridiculous, and I was really angry about it. At first I thought maybe they had those high rails so that they're keeping the long party dresses, because it's the season. I don't know if you can see, but it's the season for party dresses and things. But when I looked, they had jumpers and stuff on there, so there's no reason for those. So, you know, if you are relatively short, you wouldn't be able to reach them, and like myself in a wheelchair, I can't reach them. And by doing that, you're taking away our independence, and you've got to rely on someone, and we don't want to be doing that. It's exhausting sometimes, isn't it? So I am in the process of getting this sorted. I can't say too much, but watch this space. But hopefully we should get an answer soon. But yeah, I just think it's absolutely unnecessary, and it just goes to show you how much of an afterthought we always are. Someone's just thought, yeah, oh my god, this looks great, we'll do this, and they just haven't even given it a second thought. Yeah,
it's just sort of, this will do. Yeah. What do you feel like they should, so to prevent future things like this from happening in the future, do you think there should be something in place? Like, do you have any solutions, do you reckon, to like having like maybe consultants that are disabled in place, or
I'm available. But yeah, I think that there needs to be more awareness within companies. They need to employ more disabled people and listen to them. I was employed by a very large, well-known company, and I just never felt like I was listened to, or I was kind of like the novelty one, like, oh yeah, we'll just ask her, she'll know the answer. But it was never really taken seriously, and there should be legislations in place, like aisles, for example, need to be a certain width.
Yeah.
And that's the the law and standard. That's how it should be.
That would be such an easy thing to.
Yeah.
I assume it would be an easy thing to.
I believe there is something like that in place. I don't know the exact legalities of it, but I believe there is some sort of legislation. But you do go into shops and they're still too narrow.
Yeah. So I've had it where I've gone to disabled toilets and that, and they've been blocked by tables or chairs or several times. And write an email and then go there in the future and it hasn't changed, or it changed for a bit and then it changed back again.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Because one of them, it was literally they had to move the table to get into the disabled toilet, and I was like, if there was a family there and the fire alarm went off and I was in the toilet, then they would have left their tables and chairs and just left it in the middle. I wouldn't have been able to open the door, so I would have been stuck in the...
That's ridiculous. You can't put a table in front of a disabled toilet. That's
Yeah.
disgusting for them and for you.
Yeah, it's not good for anybody.
Where do you eat then?
Don't know if I should name or shame them like this. But yeah, we've made a point now when we're out, if we go and look to see what they're like wherever we go, to make sure they are okay, and if not, we let the person know there, and then we send an email off as well to make sure.
Yeah.
That's my little piece of...
That is a really good idea. I found myself having to do that as well, but we shouldn't have to.
No, it shouldn't be that way. It should already be in place that, people probably want to use that disabled toilet. We should probably make it clear so they can.
Yeah, and I think companies should be proud to have a disabled toilet.
Yeah.
And disabled facilities, because not every place does have them. So if you have got a disabled toilet, be proud of it. Make a big deal about it, because if the shop down the road doesn't have a disabled toilet and you do, think of the amount of more business you're going to get because you have got the disabled facilities.
Yeah, if you're the restaurant, if you're the only one in a high street that's got a toilet for disabled people, you're going to get them coming in whether they're eating there or not, and they go, oh, this place looks nice to eat. Just all the cat's having a drink.
Oh, no! We won't let you... I'll throw that one away.
That's all right, no worries. Cool, yeah, so, it's really great work you do. We're trying to make awareness of this sort of situation where, and I think it is very, very important access, because I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, but we were saying, like, if you make it easier for somebody in a wheelchair, you make it easier for everybody. Like, it doesn't, like, for example, there's a good picture I saw as well. It's like there was a ramp and a set of stairs next to each other, and they was covered in snow, and there was one person in a wheelchair and lots of people walking, and the man was clearing the snow off the steps, and they said, it's like, can you clear it off the ramp first? And he said, I've got to do it because there's loads of people here waiting for the steps. But he said, well, if you clear it off the ramp, then everybody can get in, including me. Whereas if you do it at the steps, all those people can, but I can't. So it's like that sort of thinking.
Yeah.
It's quite a good
really interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, and it's so I'm trying to explain these pictures. Maybe I'll try and find them and put them up as well.
Really
There's another one with like a fish, and the fish couldn't get through a hole. I'm remembering it really badly now, but it was something about like, and there was like a bigger fish and couldn't go through that hole. But if the hole was just bigger, then everybody would be able to get through fine. And it's sort of that way of thinking, making it accessible for the person that needs it the most, makes it actually easier for everybody else, because it just, like, if you had ramps to get into buildings, it's easier for older people, it's easier for people that have walking problems, as well as people in the wheel. It's not just this like small group of people in wheelchairs, there's a whole range of people that can help. So I think it's important in more ways than you might initially think if you're not in our sort of situation. I think it's really cool what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very important anyway, definitely.
Well, we are such an underrepresented minority. We don't get much chance to speak out. It's only since the birth of social media that we've really started to have a voice. So if disabled people don't advocate for disabled people, no one else is going to do it.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. I think that will bring us on to our next topic nicely. Cool. So talk about your advocacy for accessibility. The other thing is I know you're big on is talk about disabled people in the media and that. You did your TEDx talk, as we were saying about earlier. So what do you think about the amount of it or the success of it? And
yeah, well, first of all, I think that having disabled people in the media is very, very important on so many different levels. So, as you know, I was injured as a child, so I was 9. And back then, in the 90s, there was no one in the public eye that I could identify in the, sort of any area of the media. Okay, there was Adea Depatan, who's not like me in the slightest, really. The only similarity is that we use a wheelchair. And so I found it incredibly hard growing up. I went to mainstream school. I was the only disabled person. I actually felt like the only disabled person in the world. I had no disabled friends, and I found it very hard to kind of know who I was, tried to hide my disability away. In fact, there are no photos of me in my wheelchair growing up because I hid it all away. And I had a terrible time growing up. It's all in my TED Talk. And it was really, really hard. And it wasn't until I went to college and I started to have, I made friends with a lot of goth and emo kids. And they just accepted me for who I was. And I just had an absolute ball. And I think because they were kind of a subculture, if you like, they kind of knew what it was like not to be accepted. And I don't know if they felt sorry for me or what, but we had a blast. And that's when I really started to begin to enjoy life again. I learnt to drive and got my independence. But I really think not having anyone to look up to who was like me was a major part in that. Because if you look at Instagram now and YouTube, no matter what disability you have, no matter what you look like, you can pretty much find someone doing your thing. If you're into fitness, you can find your thing. If you're into beauty, you can find your thing. No matter what you're into, you can find someone doing it who is like you. But I never ever had that, so it is so, so important. I feel, as you were saying earlier, we were talking about the London 2012 Paralympics. I do feel that since then, things have come a little way. I wouldn't say a long way. Just last night, I was watching the One Show, and Hannah Cockcroft was on there, which was great to see. We've got Nikki Fox on Watchdog, who's doing great, and I really hope that there'll be more people with all ranges of disabilities out, because it is so important to have someone that you can identify with. Yeah,
definitely. I feel role models are very important part of your development, whether that be somebody that's close to you or somebody that you see on TV. Having role models in life is important. I personally wouldn't have become a swimmer during my youth if I didn't watch Ian Thorpe swim the way he did at the Olympics. If I didn't see that, then I would have probably never have become a swimmer, and that shaped my life and made it the way it was. And that was from an able-body perspective. So if, you know, somebody who's disabled, and if they don't have that role model, they might not see what they can be capable of. And I don't think it's necessary to say, oh, because you're disabled you have to do these sort of things. It's like, if you see lots of people, you can see, oh, look at all the things I can do. That's why I like to do these sort of interview things. A lot of time when you're in hospital, when you're injured, I don't know if you found it, but I did at my age, it's like, oh, you did some sports back then, you've got injured, go and do the Paralympics. But that's not for everyone.
It is just like that, isn't it? That's all I thought disabled people did. And I do like sport. I horse ride. I'm really passionate about horse riding, but I hate sport. And I really tried to actually fit into that area because that was the only area. So seeing, you say, these people on TV, we need to show people that are doing, businessmen that are disabled, and just general celebrities that are disabled, and just all sorts of manner of different people that are doing things and living the life they want to live, because not everybody wants to do the same thing. Which that's why it's great. That's again why I wanted to come talk to you. You know, if someone wanted to grow up and they wanted to do YouTube for a living, who was to say, which is what I think about 90% of kids want to do these days. Seeing somebody like yourself say, oh, I'd love to be like her, I think that's really cool. So Oh, thank you.
I'm sure there's some people out there you're inspiring at a young age to start up and do stuff themselves. And then they take over and get more views than us, and we'll be obsolete.
Old hat.
So, yeah, with the having people in the media, I found there's a lot more visibility on it, but quite a lot of the visibility is on like their inspirational story as such, but less about just this person like this being. Yeah. So what do you feel like? Because you're saying you sort of like Hannah Cockrell from the One Show, they sort of just talk to her and it's an interview, but you don't see as many people on the other side being the interviewer.
Yeah.
Like just people not being disabled, they're just there. They happen to be disabled, but nothing's shone on that. Like, what do you think about? I feel there should be more people like hosting the One Show, for example.
I am available.
I'll put your contact information.
I haven't had the call yet, but yeah, that's actually my dream.
Yeah,
and that's what I always wanted to do. Is just not have the inspirational backstory, but just be and just be doing it.
Yeah, because like you have, I don't know, there's hundreds of like late night chat shows these days. It seems to be everywhere, like in America and here, and they're just all pretty much a variation of the same person. There's no mixes. Like that would be, I mean, a really cool job to do, to be a late night host. But if a young disabled person's like, I want to do that, it's like, where's their sort of inspiration? It's like, you know, if like James Corden was in a wheelchair, for example, like they'd see that and go, wow, I want to do that. Yeah.
And hopefully, with the way things are going and being able to expose ourselves more on social media, hopefully we'll have that platform to be seen.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah. So well, let's talk about like the YouTube and that. Like, obviously YouTube is a big game changer. You know, there's no barrier to entry. There's no producer that you have to impress, or it like. I think you just you can use your phone and just turn it on and just sort of film yourself. What do you feel like the opportunities in that you've gained because of YouTube?
I'm so proud of myself for what I've done, and I can't believe it, because before YouTube I was working in retail, which I loved, just like my regular job, but I always knew, because I said I've always wanted to be a television presenter, and I've always known that I've wanted to do more, and I've got that potential, and that's what my passion is like sort of like creating and doing this kind of stuff. But it was just finding that channel, being able to do that. So once I discovered YouTube, it's opened up so many doors. I've done a TED Talk, which is amazing. Like I never thought I'd be able to do that. I've done that. I had my first sponsored trip to LA to dance with the Rolettes. I don't know if you know who the Rolettes are. Do their dance classes out there. That was another thing I never thought I could do, is dance in a wheelchair. That was absolutely incredible. I did some videos with Mumsnet that was great. And I wrote an article for Vodafone, and it's like people now are beginning to see me and be able to, hang on, I've lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
People are sort of like being able to find me and listen to my voice. And I'm able to get that content out there. Before YouTube, I did actually try and do television presenting, but it was so hard to know how to get the practice to do that and how to get seen, because I was so inexperienced. I couldn't get an agent. So that avenue didn't really work out for me, but now I've got this avenue, then I just keep going, just keep my head down and keep going.
Do you find like this is, with what you're doing on YouTube, this is sort of, it's not the TV presenting, but is it like filling that, not void I would say, but is that filling like the desire that you had for presenting? Is it, do you feel like you get that through YouTube?
Oh yeah, definitely. I love it. I love the fact that with YouTube I'm in control of all my content. I'm in control of what goes out. All of the ideas are my own original, 90% are my own original ideas. And I absolutely love it. And if someone said to me, would you like to be a successful television presenter or a successful YouTuber, I'm quite happy to carry on and try and reach that goal and be this successful YouTuber.
Yeah. And you say about that freedom you have, it means that you can put across the message that you want to, and obviously you're very passionate about your messages with accessibility and being in media and that, and it means that you have control over that. You can say exactly how it is. You don't have somebody saying, I wouldn't do that if I was you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and nothing can be twisted.
Yeah.
I did do a story, or there was a story with the Daily Mail, and the headline for that, or like their headline for my story was something like "Woman confined to a wheelchair after heart surgery goes wrong," and it's just like that is just such such bad language when you're confined to a wheelchair, bound to a wheelchair. And I mean, that goes to show you how still media outlets need to be educated. Yeah. Why use that language?
Yeah, I did a video a couple of months ago about why I'm not wheelchair bound, as I call it. Like, bound sounds like, oh, I'm stuck in it, and because I'm stuck, it seems so negative.
Yeah.
It's just like, I like to refer to myself as a wheelchair user. Like, I'm the person who uses a wheelchair. I'm not bound to the wheelchair. Like, it's just that slight change makes a big difference. I feel like it's like, oh. You know, it's a lot more positive way of thinking about it. All right, so earlier on you said about you being a mother. So obviously, well, I don't know actually because I'm not a mother myself, but is there anything that you'd say that is unique challenges to being a mum in a wheelchair, or anything, if any at all, or is it just the same, or anything?
It is very challenging. It is hard. I had a cesarean section. Which was extremely painful, the aftercare. That I really, really struggled with because I rely a lot on my core and my upper body strength because I'm affected quite low down. But when you have your C-section, that is so painful. Yeah. It's all been cut. I found it really hard having the cesarean because it took extra strain on other muscle groups.
The body had to compensate. Yeah,
it's really hard to describe. So yeah, I found that really, really hard. But I was really lucky. My husband was amazing, and he was off for 2 weeks after Daisy was born, and helped massively. So that was really lucky. I had, through a charity who I don't think exists anymore, I had a lady who came once a week to help me get out and do things. And I actually have a whole playlist and some videos dedicated to parenting in a wheelchair. So if you want to find out more, then please feel free to. I'm sure you'll leave them linked or something.
There'll be loads of links.
But I've got lots of tips and tricks on how I managed to survive it. One of the most positive things and one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give someone, anyone really, regardless of disability or not, is to get out as much as possible. So the saving grace for me was to be able to get out to postnatal groups and meet other mums. I didn't meet any other disabled mums, but getting out was a massive help because for the first 6 weeks I don't think I got out. But then when I finally got out, things kind of got a bit brighter and got a bit easier. I think, to be honest, I am really lucky with the fact that I had a daughter who is very good and would listen, and she never ran off and she never had tantrums. But I see some children and they're throwing themselves on the floor or they're running off and just being generally really, really naughty. I think that would have been a massive struggle, and I think that's what I worried about at first. But I was a big fan of Joe Frost's Super Nanny, who was on telly years ago, and I watched that way before I was even thinking about having children, and I followed quite a lot of her advice, and I think by having all of those kind of things in place really helped, and I think it also helps with the personality as well and the way she is. She was just very good. Yeah, so I was really lucky in that respect.
I bet that must help, because I look after my nieces sometimes and she just runs away from me. It's like, oh, there's some stairs. I'll just go up there. Just like, see you later. So, okay, she's gone. So yeah, that is one thing that worries me about it. I think it just wants to run away a lot, which knowing my genes probably would want to do that. Yeah. Like, no, I know what I could do to get away from you.
Yeah, they know, they do.
So having a kid, what does she sort of think about it, or does she, I suppose it's just normal for her, isn't it?
Yeah, she doesn't know any different really. I've always been a bit worried about how her friends would react, because being a disabled child, I knew what children were like, and I had a very negative sort of response. But they've been amazing. That's and good. The children are really good, and sometimes I'll say to the parents like, oh, we're going out to so and so, but can you, when they were younger, can you maybe just have a quiet word and let them know that they're not to run away from me, and they really need to listen and that kind of stuff. And I have to say, whenever I've taken out Daisy and her friends, they've been really, really good.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Daisy's just amazing. Like, she's really helpful, and she'll help me do things, and she's really good. I do worry because she's going to be starting high school next year. Can you believe that? I think old enough. But she will be starting high school next year. And I do worry, like, when she's a teenager, if she'll start to have sort of negative feelings towards me. Or
what goes in.
Oh my God, just so cringy kind of thing. But I think teenagers are like that with their parents anyway.
Yeah. That's just being a teenager.
Yeah, but I'd hate for her to be embarrassed of me or feel embarrassed. But that is a teenage thing, isn't it? But
yeah, I guess that sort of touched back to why it's important to have people in the media that are disabled, because those kids will grow up and they won't see the disability as such because they see people on the TV all the time. It's not going to be strange and different.
Exactly.
So having that, linking back into what we were saying earlier, I think that having that is really important. Yeah, definitely. But it's great that you have a great relationship with her, and she understands what you so that's really cool. Yeah, must be cool to have like a little friend as well.
Yeah, my little buddy.
Yeah. And she comes with you travelling as well and does all those things.
Yeah, so they didn't come to LA with me, but we recently had a trip in May to Disney, which was just insane.
Yeah.
It was really, really good fun.
Yeah, I bet, for everyone.
Yeah, she's a well-travelled little soul for being 10. She's been to Australia twice.
Oh, wow.
Florida once, and Europe.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And when you do all the travelling and that, obviously, probably people are thinking that's a nightmare. Like, you got to take your wheelchair stuff and you got to take the child stuff. Has that been... You got like a planner, you have to tick all the list off, like, you have to get all this.
I am a big fan of lists, Ben. I do like a list. Yeah, I do have a lot of lists. When we went to Australia, the first time with my daughter, she was 1. And it was awful. Yeah. It was horrendous, the travelling. I think the only way I managed to do it was because my husband is a superhero. He's like an octopus, and he did it all. We took a car seat, we took a wheelchair, we took a pram. We all had a bag each. We had suitcases.
There's so many wheels.
Yeah, and he managed it. I'm sure I've got pictures somewhere of like one of those trolleys at the airport, and he's like pushing it along, and I've got Daisy on my lap. And the flight over there was horrendous. She didn't sleep. To Singapore. And once we got on the plane from Singapore to Sydney, my husband started to come down with food poisoning. So I had to then take care of Daisy like by myself, which was really hard, and she hadn't slept and she was so tired, but she couldn't sleep, and it was awful. It was
yeah. But I suppose as the years gone on, you've got a bit more an idea of what you're prepared now.
Yeah, she's amazing now. Like when we went to Florida, people were like, "Oh, but the flight's so long." I was like, "No, it's not." It was like 7 hours, and she was there, like with all the movies, and it was a doddle.
That's good. Yeah,
it was good.
I suppose it gets easier. 1, because they're growing up, and 2, because you're more prepared for it. So doubly easier. That's good. Well, I think that's about it that I wanted to talk to you about today.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Where should people come and find you if they wanted to know more about you? Like, where would you like them to come?
Oh, why don't you head over to my YouTube channel, because there's loads of content.
I think that's
I
think that's where your best content is as well.
Thank you. Yeah, and then go to Instagram.
Yeah, and then Instagram as well. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So what I like to do to finish all my videos is, do you have any life advice for people? Any sort of quote or whatever you want to say to someone maybe who's like you were 10, 15 years ago, and they might be in that same sort of situation? Like, any advice for them or anything like that?
Gosh. Any advice?
It doesn't have to be profound. It doesn't have
I
to...
really want to like
dig deep.
yeah. Thanks. Like, disability, like, whether you're in a wheelchair or not, you can achieve your dreams and you can achieve your goals and you can go for it. And keep your head down, keep working hard, and you can make things happen for yourself. I never thought that I would be able to do what I'm doing, and I have. And one of my favourite quotes that I live by, if anyone ever wanted to go down sort of like the YouTube social media route, and I guess in real life as well, but my favourite quote that I live by is, haters will watch you walk on water and they'll tell you it's because you can't swim.
I think that's a great way to end the video. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, very insightful and really great information for people out there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.